Well, this is big news and good news for us, the consumer, because General Motors is being investigated again for the 6.2 liter issues that they're having. I'm telling you, these National Highway Traffic and Safety reports, they're important. So whoever submitted them, if you're out there in the audience, awesome, keep it up, man, because 2026s are coming in. This investigation shows that GM's problems are not fixed, and National Highway Traffic and Safety is investigating them again. Do not buy the 6.2 liter. I've done videos on this in the past. Let's recap really quick why you shouldn't buy, and then I'm going to go through this investigation. Now, a quick recap if you're not aware of what's going on with GM 6.2 liter. They had a recall that recalled over 500,000 of these engines. They've had a new investigation coming out after that for more engines, probably almost up to 1 million engines now under recall from 2021 to 2024. I've been trying to warn people off of this 6.2 liter and the 3 liter Duramax, at least for the 2025 to 2026 models. Fast forward to today, 2026s are still failing. I've been trying to warn people of this for the last couple months, and this new investigation is really telling on what's going on, because both methods that GM has to try to fix this problem with the 6.2 liter are failing. And this investigative report says that's essentially why they're opening a new investigation. And kudos to the National Highway Traffic and Safety people, investigator Steve Perry and others listed at the top there. They're doing their job, and I think it's just complaints coming in. So it's very important that people use the NHTSA complaint website and actually make them aware, because that's the only way that they're really going to know to investigate things, unless the manufacturer comes forward. And you know they're not going to probably just come forward and say, hey, we think we want to replace another 200,000 engines. And here's why this investigation is important. It says the recall 25V274 addresses vehicles equipped with the L87 6.2 liter V8 gas engine that experienced engine damage or failure. So this is what they do. This is what General Motors does for a remedy for this engine. They say, based on the results of the inspection, they have you bring your truck in, or your Tahoe or your Suburban, your Escalade, whatever it is. And then they test the engine and they decide if it needs to just have 0W40 oil or if you're going to get a new engine based on the test results. This says the complaints received allege that they have failures after both remedies. So these are people that brought their vehicle in with the 6.2 liter. They either got 0W40 oil or they got a brand new engine. And in both scenarios, they had engine failures after the remedies. So National Highway Traffic and Safety is saying, hey, your 0W40 oil is not working. It's putting people's lives in danger. Their trucks are shutting down at 70 miles an hour. That's a pretty startling thing if you're not mentally prepared for it. Or they're getting replacement engines, which I've showed you in these videos in the past, where guys are on their second engine and it fails, and then they're on their third engine trying to get a buyback from General Motors. So this investigation, I think, is going to go to the moon. I think, just like I said in my last video, I don't think General Motors has done anything to fix this problem. I think the 3 liter Duramax and the 6.2 liter, I think they're just ignoring the issues. You see brand new engines with crankshaft problems. And they've known about this since it's been going on since 2021 in the 6.2 liter. And I've actually seen, even dated back a little bit, I saw a 2023 Duramax with the same issues, which was interesting in my forum. So I just think if you're buying a new truck, especially, if you have to have a General Motors, for the love of God, don't buy a 6.2 liter or the 3 liter Duramax at this point. And if you think it's a numbers game, have you ever done the math? When people say, hey man, it's just 1%. It's not that big a deal, man. The Chicken Littles on the YouTube, the sky's falling. What's 1% of 100? Do you really think 1 out of 100 engines should fail off the assembly line in these $800 million facilities? I don't think so. And that's not what we used to see in the past. And if you want to check this out for yourself, go to thecarguyonline.com. I'll leave a link in the description. This is all free. You don't have to pay anything. It's just an easier way to look at National Highway Traffic and Safety data. So here's a 2021 Chevy Silverado 1500. A 2021, look at how many engine failures there are. This is within the recall range. Now let me take one of the worst years, 2014, back in the Silverado. Look at how many complaints this has. And I want you to look at this. So they've got, steering complaints, electrical system, service and brakes, but the engine actually only has 200 complaints in the engine, only 200 complaints. They actually sold a ton of vehicles in 2014. But compared to 2021, the majority of the complaints are in the powertrain, engines, and transmission valve bodies. So from 2021 on, You know, these aren't small problems that people are dealing with. They're big problems, and they leave you stranded in the worst times. Usually when you're putting your vehicle under stress, especially trucks, you see it a lot when they're towing. You see a ton of guys coming out here in the summer in Colorado going up these steep passes with their trailers and their valve bodies blow, or their transmissions, fail on them. Do your research. You don't have to take my word for it. Go look at the data and find years and find engines that you trust. The 2.7 from Chevy is much better than the other two, the 6.2 and the 3.0. The 5.3 is, I think, still better than the 6.2 and probably better than the Duramax, at least in the early stages. You're probably not going to have a crankshaft failure in the 5.3. You don't see those a lot. You do still see the lifters failing in the 5.3s. So I personally that's why I stayed away from the 6.2, the 3.0, the 5.3, and I didn't want the 2.7. I ended up getting a Hurricane. Why? Because when I looked at Ram's problems in 25, 26, and then before that with the Hurricane and other models, I didn't find engine failures. So for me, my priority was engine and transmission. Everything else I'll deal with. If I've got electrical problems or whatever, I get they can leave you stranded, but there's a difference between maybe swapping your battery out or having to get a completely new engine with a cab off repair and your truck rattles, the rest of its life. So there's just a difference in severity to me. And I think that's how I look at this. So just beware. The silver lining in this is you guys, the people that complain, that's what's driving this, and that's awesome because we're going to eventually see change in the manufacturers. If GM has to recall another 500,000 engines, trust me, they will change their behavior because over 1 million engines is going to cost them probably over $1 billion at this point. I mean, you look at the cost of these engines, it is not a small repair. They have to pay the techs, they have to pay the warranty work, and they have to pay for new engines. And if the new engines are failing, they're going to have even more replacements. Until 2027, who knows? Maybe they're just planning on riding this out and hoping they get people out of warranty. But this is going to cost them a massive amount of money. And you know what? It should. Because this should never come out. There should not be 3% of people spending $60,000 to $80,000 on these trucks, having them die within 1,000 miles, and then having their replacement engines die as well. That is not a well-run company. That's a company trying to take advantage of people. So kudos to you if you filled out the NHTSA report, and you can do that on the website here. I've got a link up here. You just click on this add complaint on the top yellow button, takes you right to the VIN form. Super easy to fill out. I think that's how we're going to create change with Toyota, GM, Ford, any of these companies. Don't just complain to complain, but complain in an honest way, and we will see change in the quality of these vehicles. I really believe that. Thanks for those who actually used the complaints system, and it is working. Just wanted everybody to know that. Thanks for watching. Till next time.